Sagittarius, there is someone who once caused you pain, and now they are being relentlessly pursued by karma. This isn't a matter of polite apologies. It's the kind of regret that eats away at their sleep, night after night. You may not remember clearly what happened. That's okay, because they remember every single detail, and they're asking themselves, how could someone like you rise again after everything? But what you're about to hear isn't just about regret. It's the first sign of a spiritual warning. Karma is striking, and it shows no mercy. And you, Sagittarius, you now stand between truth and choice. And if lately you've been feeling a quiet kind of unease in your chest, if old memories suddenly return, as if someone were calling your name in silence, that is not a coincidence. It's a signal. A cycle is coming to an end, and the universe wants you to know that truth can no longer be buried. That person is breaking from the inside. And right now, just when you've grown strong enough not to turn back, the past is trying to return. But this time, it's not here to hurt you again. It's here so you can witness the universe deliver its justice. Listen closely, Sagittarius. There are wounds that do not bleed. They linger. They ache quietly, persistently, carrying themselves with you across the years, like a memory forgotten by the world but never erased from within you. You once gave your trust freely. You believed that if you were sincere, the world would meet you with gentleness. But life doesn't always treat the honest heart fairly, and the very one you saw as your anchor was the first to cast you into the depth of doubt, pain, and betrayal. It wasn't just a shock, it was a small death within you. People often think betrayal is just a story between two, but it isn't. It's a story of one soul who believed in something good, and another who crushed that goodness to protect their own selfish pride. You once asked yourself, where did I go wrong? You blamed yourself, you doubted your feelings, you questioned your own worth. But hear this, Sagittarius, you were not wrong for loving with your whole heart. The one who was wrong was the one who used that love against you. They chose to betray you, not because you weren't enough, but because they didn't have the integrity to protect something sacred. And so, you learned to go silent. You learned to smile while a storm raged inside your chest. You learned to pretend you were okay, because no one ever really asked if you were. But at night, when it was just you and your truth, you knew something inside you had died the day they left without a word. But that was never the end. The universe does not let pure hearts carry wounds forever. In astrology, Sagittarius is the sign of the journey, of spiritual awakening, of an inner fire that never fades. You were born to rise, not to remain in the darkness someone else created. That wound was the gateway back to yourself. It made you re-examine your values and face the truth. Not everyone who smiles at you is sincere. Not everyone who says I love you knows how to protect that love. But through it all, you are no longer who you used to be. You are stronger, not because you didn't feel pain, but because you learned how to rise through it. And that is a kind of miracle. When you choose to forgive, not to let them come back, but to let yourself move forward, that is deep healing. When you choose silence, not because you are weak, but because you no longer want to explain yourself to those who never wanted to listen, that is emotional wisdom. And when you walk away from a relationship that wounded you deeply, you are choosing yourself. And that is when karma begins to move. The one who hurt you is now facing the very things they once caused. You don't need to say a word. You don't have to prove anything. Because karma needs no defense. You no longer live in the role of the victim. The universe did not create you to endlessly endure. You were chosen to write a new chapter of your life, with light, not anger. Close your eyes for a moment and listen to what your soul is trying to whisper. Maybe it's saying, you've gone deep enough into the darkness. Now, it's time to return. And if these words resonate with you, leave a gentle comment below. Don't hold back, because your story might be the light for someone else walking the same path in silence. You don't need to rush. You don't need to pretend to be strong anymore. You only need to be honest with yourself. Because the moment you are true, the wound will begin to heal. The universe sees everything. The universe does not forget, and the universe is already preparing something better for you. You are worthy, not because you've never been hurt, but because you chose not to die with the wound that tried to bury you. And that is the triumph of your soul. There are laws in this universe that no human can escape. One of them is the law of cause and effect. And whether or not you believe in religion, life itself always finds a way to show. No action goes without consequence. Sagittarius, when you stepped away from the pain they caused you, maybe you once wished they'd understand. You hoped they'd awaken. Hoped that someday they'd realize how deeply you once loved them. But they didn't. Because they weren't mature enough to recognize the value of a soul that gave love completely. And then time passed. You thought you'd forgotten, but energy never lies. Lately, have you felt uneasy for no clear reason? Have you sensed something shifting in the air, but can't explain what it is? Have you woken in the night without knowing why? Has a face from the past suddenly appeared in your mind, uninvited? That's not memory. That's a wave of energy, being sent from the other side, from the one who once hurt you. They are now carrying their karma, not through an outer storm, but through a quiet collapse from within. Pause. Take a breath and feel into it. Perhaps your soul right now is remembering what was never said out loud. If this touches something within you, breathe deeply and let yourself be heard by you. They look around and no one feels truly real. They're beginning to feel the emptiness they once handed to you without care. They start dreaming about you, searching for you in the eyes of others, but no one feels like you did. And then they realize some things once lost never return. That's the moment when karma begins to teach in the only language they can finally understand. Loss. You don't need to witness it. The universe does not need you to be an audience to their consequences. The only thing it asks of you is to live fully, to walk forward, and to believe that spiritual justice is real. If you once longed for an apology, know this. Their restlessness, their shame, their sleepless nights are the apology, sent in silence. You once cried alone, now they do. You once stayed awake asking why? Now they answer that same question with a silence so heavy nothing can fill it. And maybe this isn't the ending you wanted, but it is balance. Saturn, the planet of lessons, limits, and karma, may have passed through your sign or theirs. What was hidden is now being brought to light. What no longer matches your frequency is being cleansed away because it cannot survive in the energy you now live in. The universe does not punish. The universe restores. And you, Sagittarius, you no longer live within the old cycle. You are being elevated into a higher vibration, a space where nothing undeserving can hold you down anymore. Let them stay with their own lesson. Let time and their soul handle what must be handled. As for you, you have a different journey to continue, a path where you don't owe anyone an explanation, a path where all you have to do is live true to your heart. If you're still here, listening to this, leave a heart in the comments below. Let me know you've forgiven, but you will never forget. Because maturity is not about forgetting the past. It's about no longer letting it rule the present. You are free now. They are not. That's the result, and also the beginning of a brand new cycle. And you, awakened soul of Sagittarius, you are worthy of this light. Sagittarius, have you ever looked into the mirror and barely recognized the person staring back? Not because you've lost yourself, but because you've evolved. You've changed. Not by forcing yourself to be strong, but by allowing yourself to embrace the soft, broken places inside you, with the gentleness you once begged others to give. You used to need someone to see you. Now you see yourself. You used to need love to feel worthy. Now you love yourself enough not to seek anyone's permission to feel whole. And that's not coldness. That is maturity. That is awakening. There were nights you cried in silence, wondering why it all had to end like that. But then came a morning when you woke up and didn't need the answer anymore. Because now you understand. What no longer resonates with your soul will leave, whether you hold on or not. The universe took them away, only to bring you back to yourself. And when you accepted that, you made space for what is truly meant for you. The things that used to enrage you now only make you smile. You no longer feel the need to prove anything to anyone, because peace matters more than being understood. You're calmer now, lighter now, and strangely, stronger than ever before. That is the first sign of rebirth. Take a look back for a moment. Have you recently begun setting clearer boundaries? Have you started saying no to things you used to tolerate? Have you begun thanking yourself for surviving what once felt like it would break your heart forever? If the answer is yes, then congratulations, you've changed, and that is sacred, because not everyone dares to be true to their emotions. Not everyone dares to let go of old pain in order to step into a new energy. You are Sagittarius, the sign of freedom and light. But true freedom isn't about running from pain. It's about standing through it and still keeping your inner light alive. And you did that. You deserve to be seen for that. So now, do you still feel guilty for choosing yourself? Do you still carry regret for not being able to save someone from their own destruction? Can you be honest enough to say, I did all that I could, and now I choose peace? If you're still listening, ask yourself, what moment told your heart it no longer needed to tremble at the past? How did you grow through the pain, and what did it teach you? And if you feel ready, share your reflection in the comments below. As a small light for someone else walking the same road, you never know, your truth might be the very message someone out there has been waiting to hear. Sagittarius, you are not the same. Not because you stopped feeling, but because you felt deeply enough to no longer let emotions rule you. You are not the same because you've touched truth and realized you are worthy of love without having to earn it through pain. And if someone comes back, they'll realize you are no longer the person they once left behind. You've become the very version of yourself they never had the courage to cherish. But you don't need their validation anymore. Because you know, the universe will send the right one at the right time and on the right frequency. So don't turn back. The path ahead is waiting for you. With all the miracles you once prayed for in silence, you have changed. And the world will have to learn to treat you as a version of yourself that no longer compromises. There are messages from the universe that don't arrive in words. They come through intuition, through a sudden knowing, through dreams you cannot explain, through moments that seem meaningless but repeat themselves just enough to get your attention. Have you ever felt it? You're working, but a face suddenly flashes through your mind, a face you thought you'd long forgotten. You walk past a cafe, and the table in the back right corner is still there, the one where you waited, not knowing they'd never show up again. You turn on the radio, and the song playing is the one you both used to listen to on a rainy night in early October. Or you dream of them, standing in a field of silver grass, wearing that old white shirt, the one you once hand-washed for them, and then vanishing without saying a word. These things are not random. They are energy. They are invisible doors opening, inviting you to look again, to understand differently, and then move forward. Let your shoulders soften. Because a soul that is healing no longer needs to hold everything up. And you don't need to understand everything, you only need to feel. One of the clearest signs of spiritual awakening is when you begin to feel deeply the things you once overlooked. You stop chasing logical explanations. Instead, you feel and you believe. You believe in intuition, you believe in dreams, you believe in the unease in your chest as a kind of warning. And you begin to ask, why am I dreaming of this person again, now, of all times? Why do I feel like something is coming when everything around me seems calm? Why do I feel so tired, so heavy, as if I'm carrying something that doesn't even belong to me? These are signs, and if you listen long enough, you'll hear a clear message. An old energy is trying to return, not to stay, but to be released. You may be sensing that someone is thinking about you. Someone who regrets, someone vibrating within an energy field you once shared deeply. In moments like this, you don't need to react, you just need to observe. Here's an example. You're curled up on the sofa, about to turn off the lights and go to bed, when a sudden feeling makes you reach for your phone, and there it is, their name, in an old message, a surprising comment, or even just a new friend request. Or maybe you walk into a room and the air suddenly feels heavier. Your heart races, and a moment later, you realize they're there, a few feet away. The universe doesn't send signals to scare you. It sends them so you can prepare. Prepare for the true ending of a connection that no longer fits. And sometimes that message comes disguised as coincidence. But in the spiritual realm, there is no such thing. If you've been seeing 1111 repeatedly, if butterflies keep crossing your path, or white feathers appear in unlikely places, or it suddenly rains on a perfectly clear day. If a certain lyric makes your chest ache for no reason, those are messages, not from them, but from the universe, from your own soul, whispering, you are getting closer to the truth. And the truth is, you no longer belong to what you used to. You are growing, not in age, but in soul. You are shedding old cycles without needing anyone else to unlock the door. Because you, through awareness, through awakening, have already turned the key. So if today your heartbeat feels different while hearing this, don't dismiss it. Place your hand over your heart and ask yourself, what have I been feeling lately that I can't quite name? Am I being called back by an old connection? Am I ready to release the past and step into a new frequency? And if you've recently felt a sign that logic can't explain, write it down. Treat it as a note from your soul, because someone else out there may be feeling it too. This is the beginning of a deeper conversation between you and the universe. You are being guided, you are not alone, and every sign is leading you back to yourself. And then, what you once believed had ended may return in the most unexpected way. Not to repeat, but to complete. Dear Sagittarius, the closer you move toward the light, the harder the old darkness tries to return. Not to pull you back, but to see if you are still the same person you once were. You might receive a strange message at 2 a.m. from a name you tried hard to forget, or maybe someone casually brings them up in the middle of a harmless conversation. Or you take an unplanned trip and wander down a quiet little street where that blinking yellow street light still glows in the same corner where they once promised to come back and never did. Maybe you're packing boxes, moving to a new place, and in the last drawer, you find an old movie ticket they once tucked into your wallet as a joke. And suddenly, your hands tremble just from touching it. The memories rush in, not with pain, but with silence. Do you remember? An afternoon at year's end. You sat on the balcony with a cold cup of coffee in hand, eyes red from tears, telling yourself, I will never trust anyone again. Or that time at the grocery store, just weeks after the breakup. They smiled, as if nothing had happened. And you had to turn away quickly because your throat locked up and words wouldn't come. Do you remember writing a long message only to delete it right before hitting send? Or that sleepless night when all it would have taken was a single, "Are you okay?" from them to make you fall apart? All of that may return. Not to break you, but to show you how far you've come. The memories no longer make you cry. They just make you still. A quiet witness watching the old version of yourself from a distant time. Sometimes the past doesn't return in the shape of a person. It comes as an old emotion, a familiar choice. A situation you've been through before, now replaying itself just to see what you'll do differently. Maybe you once loved someone so much you lost yourself, and today a new person walks into your life, pulling you into that same tension between loving them and keeping you. This is not the past returning to harm you. It's returning to ask, this time, who will you choose? Them or yourself? Or maybe you once tried everything to hold on to someone and still lost them. Now they've come back saying, I finally see it, you're the one. And yes, your heart might flutter. But then you ask yourself, do they love me or are they just afraid of being alone? That's when you'll know you are no longer the same. The universe isn't testing you to hurt you again. It's testing you to see if the lesson has truly landed. Don't shame yourself for remembering. To remember is to be human, but you are allowed to not choose it again. If you feel the past knocking, ask yourself, what do I still owe to this connection? Is this return a chance to heal or a test? Do I truly want to open my heart, or is this just the habit of a once lonely heart? Remember, you are allowed to close the door you once didn't have the strength to shut. You are allowed to forgive without reconnecting. You are allowed to say, thank you for returning so I could see just how far I've come. If something you thought was finished has resurfaced, write about it. Not to complain, but to place a gentle final period. Because maybe your words will speak what someone else can't yet say aloud. The past may knock, but you are not required to answer. Because you have changed. And if they haven't risen to your frequency, they can no longer reach you. Believe this. If something belongs to you, it will find its way back. but it will never hurt you the same way again. And if it comes back, just to see if you're still the person they once knew, smile and walk away, because this time, you're the one who leaves first. Dear Sagittarius, if you've stayed with me this far, then let me say something to you. Slowly, clearly, gently. You've gone far enough. You don't need to turn back anymore. The past may knock, the pain may tap at your chest, but you are no longer the one who chases broken pieces to find wholeness. No one reached out a hand to lift you, and that is exactly what made you stronger than ever before. You didn't forgive them because they deserved it. You forgave because you didn't want to carry that weight anymore. And along the way, you discovered something. The greatest love was the one you gave to yourself. This journey, though painful, has brought you back to the strongest version of who you are. You don't need to force strength anymore. You just need to be real. Real with your feelings, real with your soul, real with the dreams you once buried out of fear of being hurt again. And now, after all the layers of emotion the universe has carried you through, remember this: no wound is ever wasted if it leads you to where you truly belong. The universe has heard every silent cry, and right now, it is preparing something gentle, deep, and whole for you. Because you are worthy. Because you made it through without becoming bitter. Because you lived truthfully, even when no one saw it in time. And if you've been waiting for a sign that you're on the right path, this is it. Leave a comment if your heart feels seen in this message. Share your story, not just with me, but with all the souls healing alongside you. Click like if you want the universe to keep sending you reminders exactly when you need them. Subscribe if you want to walk this journey with me, where the softest truths are listened to by the heart. Because you are not alone. And this journey has only just begun. You didn't turn back. And that was the bravest thing your soul has ever done.